The medical bay of the interstellar research station Harmony's Edge hummed with the quiet efficiency that only came from advanced alien technology. Dr. Marcus Chen lay propped up on what the Zithians called a regeneration pod, though to him, it looked more like a very uncomfortable dentist's chair crossed with a Christmas tree. Various tubes and sensors monitored his vital signs, while nanobots worked to repair the plasma burns across his left arm. He should have been focusing on his recovery. The mining accident on Kepler 442b had nearly cost him his life, and only the swift intervention of the station's medical team had saved him. Instead, Marcus found himself fascinated by his primary caregiver, a 7-foot-tall Zithian nurse whose nameplate read something that roughly translated to Healer Vexandra of the Third Medicinal Circle. The Zithians were an impressive species. Their elongated limbs moved with precise grace. Their silver-blue skin seemed to shimmer under the medical bay's specialized lighting, and their large, multifaceted eyes could apparently see across several spectrums simultaneously. They were also, Marcus had learned during his 3-day stay, utterly humorless. Vexandra embodied this trait perfectly. She performed her duties with mechanical precision, spoke only when necessary, and regarded Marcus with what could only be described as barely concealed disdain. Her colleagues had explained that humans were considered problematic patients, too emotional, too unpredictable, too prone to what the Zithians termed irrational behavioral patterns. Marcus had tried to be a model patient at first. He'd followed every instruction, taken his medications without complaint, and even attempted to learn basic Zithian pleasantries. But 3 days of sterile efficiency had worn thin, and his inherently social nature was beginning to reassert itself. The nanobots indicate your tissue regeneration is proceeding within normal parameters, Vexandra announced as she checked his readings, her voice carrying the same warmth as a tax audit. You will remain in observation for an additional 47 hours. That's great news, Marcus replied with genuine enthusiasm. You know, I never did thank you properly for saving my life down on Kepler. If you hadn't been monitoring the mining operations, professional obligation, she cut him off, adjusting a control panel with sharp, dismissive movements. The Galactic Medical Accord requires immediate response to life-threatening injuries, regardless of species. Marcus studied her profile as she worked. Even by Zithian standards, she was striking. Her movements held an elegance that reminded him of ballet dancers, and there was something almost hypnotic about the way her skin seemed to shift color subtly with her moods, currently a rather stormy blue-gray. Still, he persisted, you could have just stabilized me and waited for a human medical team. Instead, you performed the surgery yourself. That had to be way outside your comfort zone. Vexandra's eyes, all 6 of them, fixed on him with an expression that could have frozen plasma. Human physiology is adequately documented in medical databases. The procedure required no special accommodation. It was then that Marcus realized something important. The slight tremor in her secondary arms when she'd mentioned the surgery, the way her skin had shifted to a warmer hue when he'd thanked her. Vexandra wasn't just professionally competent. She genuinely cared about her patients, even difficult, human ones. The cold efficiency was a mask. Over the next day, Marcus began to test this theory. He asked about her training, her homeworld, her opinion on the station's recycled air system. Each question was met with increasingly frosty responses, but he noticed small tells. The way her posture relaxed slightly when discussing medical techniques, how her skin brightened when she successfully diagnosed a tricky symptom in another patient. The careful attention she paid to his comfort even as she lectured him about maintaining appropriate patient-caregiver boundaries. The breakthrough came on his final day. Marcus had been cleared for light physical therapy and was attempting to relearn fine motor control in his regenerated arm tissues. The exercise involved manipulating a series of increasingly complex holographic shapes, child's play for most species, but frustratingly difficult with newly grown nerve endings. He'd been at it for 2 hours, sweat beading on his forehead as he struggled with what should have been simple movements. Vexandra observed from her monitoring station, her expression unreadable, but her skin cycling through increasingly agitated color patterns. Finally, she stood and approached his workstation. "Your technique is inefficient," she announced. "You're attempting to force precision rather than allowing your neural pathways to naturally adapt." "Easy for you to say," Marcus muttered, frustrated. "Your people probably master this kind of thing in kindergarten." Something in her posture shifted. "Actually," she said quietly, "Zithian children require approximately 4 standard years to develop equivalent motor control. Your neural plasticity is remarkable." It was the first genuinely personal thing she'd shared, and Marcus looked up to find her watching him with something that might have been curiosity. Her skin had shifted to a warm golden hue he'd never seen before. "Remarkable, huh?" He grinned. "Wait until you see what humans can do with a little encouragement." That was when it happened. Vexandra's expression shuddered again, her skin cycling rapidly through several colors before settling on an icy blue-white. Her multifaceted eyes fixed on him with unmistakable irritation, or was it something else? "Human behavioral patterns remain highly unpredictable," she stated coldly. "It would be inadvisable to encourage further deviation from standard patient protocols." The glare she gave him was absolutely withering, the kind of look that could have powered a small starship. It was also, Marcus realized with sudden clarity, completely calculated. She was trying to re-establish professional distance because his comment had affected her, and she didn't know how to process that. Without thinking, he smiled, pursed his lips, and blew her a kiss. The reaction was instantaneous and spectacular. Vexandra's skin cycled through every color Marcus had ever seen, and several he was pretty sure didn't exist in normal space. Her eyes widened to approximately twice their normal size. For a moment, she stood completely frozen, as if her brain had encountered a critical error and was attempting to reboot. Then, to Marcus's amazement, her skin settled into a warm, shimmering gold, and what he could only describe as a smile spread across her features. "That," she said slowly, "was highly inappropriate." "Yeah," Marcus agreed cheerfully. "Humans are like that." Vexandra considered this for a long moment. Then, with movements that seemed almost shy, she approached his workstation and began adjusting the holographic controls. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "some deviation from protocol might be acceptable." As Marcus watched her work, her skin maintaining that warm golden glow, he couldn't help but think that sometimes the best medicine had nothing to do with nanobots or neural regeneration. Sometimes it was just about remembering that beneath all the professional competence and cultural differences, connection was universal, even if you had to blow a kiss to find it.